Alright, well, hello Kuro, hello Navy, hello Mornox. It's so good to see you, Sonic Diaz. I said this before, but I guess I was muted. Shiny, hi Prov, it's so nice to see you guys. Thank you so much for showing up. So basically, I had this idea in mind that I want to eventually have my own podcast series. And being that the Pokepod is partnered with the Starlight Children's Foundation, that any money raised basically goes to help sick children, primarily in hospitals, just kind of make their days a little bit brighter and happier. For example, with the amount I donated, it went towards a hospital gown that's specifically Nintendo themed, to go to a child. So that was really, really cool. It felt really good doing that, and I'm excited for them to get their Nintendo themed hospital gown. So I'm going to drop the link in the chat actually, to, if anybody, no pressure to donate, but we appreciate any and all donations. But basically oh my gosh, hi Emmy, hello Dan, hi Goggles. I'm gonna drop the link in the chat, and if you're feeling generous or you have the financial means, it would certainly be appreciated to donate anything you can to aid the Starlight Children's Foundation and to help sick children and to cheer them up a little bit. So today I am going to talk a little bit about my journey with Nintendo growing up. So this month, being that we are partnered with Starlight or supporting Starlight, our main theme is actually Nintendo, or the theme that we could choose from is Nintendo. So I thought this first episode of this podcast that I eventually want to create into an ongoing series, Whirl Talk, I thought I would talk a little bit about my childhood and some of the Nintendo games, or rather the games released on Nintendo consoles throughout my childhood. Now, in no way do I consider myself a gamer. I've not played a lot of video games growing up, to be honest. So I'm not trying to make myself seem like I'm somebody that I'm not, or, say in any way that I'm a professional gamer. In fact, many of the games that I've played, I don't even think I've finished, but I've had a lot of fond memories playing video games. I feel like it was a way that I bonded with my siblings, especially my brother, my dad growing up, some of our childhood friends. And it was a way that I spent a lot of my time growing up as well. So I'm going to basically go across the different consoles and just kind of, go down memory lane a little bit and talk about my journey with Nintendo games. So this is also a way, if anybody wants to suggest, the games that I've never played before, I probably will go into that as well. So if anybody wants to suggest games that they think I would really like, also hello Ty, feel free to drop suggestions in the chat, because I will, I appreciate any and all recommendations. I also realized I forgot to do something that Cosmic told me to do, and basically that's the notification where if people donate, a Poliwhirl will pop up on screen, but that is okay. This is my first time, and I didn't really let anybody know beforehand that I was going to stream, so whatever. But maybe in future streams, including our Animal Crossing stream coming up, that will happen. So basically, before I get started, I should probably give a little history about how I came to, I guess, essentially be aware of Nintendo consoles and games, and that's primarily through my dad. So my dad has been in public relations for, 30 or 40 years, 30 years-ish. And he primarily did, back in the 1980s, he did PR for a lot of major Japanese manufacturers of electronics. So Sony, Toshiba, gosh, I forget the other ones, but basically one of them was Nintendo. So he was there was one point where he attended a press release event where they were launching, I don't know if they were specifically launching the Game Boy, maybe they were launching a game for the original Game Boy, the brick, but he was there for that press release. They're also launching the Super Nintendo Entertainment System, also known, abbreviated as the SNES. So, yeah, he was part of an agency out in LA, but they needed help in New York. So he decided to attend the event and, helped out with the PR coverage for that event. And so the people there were very grateful. And basically, as a token of their appreciation at the press conference, they gave any of the agencies, the partners, a free Game Boy and a free SNES. And I believe the Game Boy came with Tetris. The SNES came with Super Mario World. So that is how my dad got. He was able to get the SNES and the original Game Boy. Now, unfortunately, the original Game Boy, the brick, we had that for many, many years, but then it wound up breaking, unfortunately, or I don't know if it's just the battery died, something happened to it, and we decided to get rid of it. I don't even know if we sold it on eBay, but it was just at a time when I really don't know what happened to it. I wound up getting another one just because I was feeling nostalgic one year, and I just wanted kind of just as a collector's item. So I wound up, I think, buying one off eBay. However, yes, I do say Mario. I should say Mario. I don't know. Anyway, basically, the Super Nintendo Entertainment System, the SNES, we still have to this day. It works, however, we are having audio issues with it. So eventually, I think I want to take it to like some kind of electronics fix-it sort of shop to get it, to see if the audio can be fixed. I'm not sure what needs to happen there for if it just needs to be cleaned. But yes, so essentially those were the two consoles that we ever owned and that we that I primarily played as a little girl. I think as early as 3. That event that he went to was, he says it was 1991, which makes sense because I think that's around the time that these consoles were released. TSS will probably telling me I'm wrong, but I can look it up easily. But so anyway, let's go through a little bit of. So I'm gonna literally go through the entire list. I have Wikipedia pulled up here, and just see. It's all, most of these I have not played. I mean, like I said, I was like 3 or 4 years old, when I first was like had awareness of the Game Boy, and yeah, this is a lot of games, right? I will say that, I mean, obviously Tetris, who hasn't played Tetris? It came with it, I played a good amount of it growing up on the Game Boy, but my favorite game to play on the original Game Boy had to have been Super Mario Land 2, 6 Golden Coins. That was, when I think of my childhood, I think of that game. And when I saw the Nintendo Direct a couple of weeks ago, when they released new Nintendo Online games, it was just so nostalgic to hear that music from Super Mario Land 2, 6 Golden Coins, when they made that announcement, because that was one of my first games ever, and I spent a lot of time and memories playing that game. Yeah, for some reason, or for whatever reason, I don't know why we never had Super Mario Land, the first one. I don't know. I just know that Tetris came with the Game Boy, and then we wound up just buying a bunch of games after. Oh my gosh, Gallery Adventure. I also played Humongous Entertainment for PC. I was a huge fan of the backyard sports games growing up. We'd play backyard baseball, backyard football for hours, and backyard soccer as well. Creating teams with the characters and like so much fun. I think I played Pajama Sam as well as Freddy Fish. Like I know I said it would stick to Nintendo, but since you mentioned that, I thought I would also mention that. It's a huge part of my childhood as well. But that was more when I was like 8 or 9 years old. Okay, so we had Toy Story. That was a lot of fun. It was hard as a kid. There was this one level my brother and I like really struggled. It was the one where the race car had to like, you had to maneuver it to get the batteries so that it wouldn't run out of batteries, and then eventually get to the end of the maze. That was challenging, and we finally, I think years later, wound up beating it. But for a long time, like we cruised through all the other levels and then get to that one dang level, and it was just very frustrating. But then eventually, you know, we passed it, and I don't even know if we ever won the game. Like, some of these games are challenging, like, you know, simpler times, but still, like, some of these can be really challenging. Yes, so actually, like, speaking of what Shiny said, all the Disney games were so hard. Aladdin, I was obsessed. I still am, technically. We go to my grandma's house, and I would just play that. I must have, like, I never get tired of that game for some reason. Let me see if it's, where is it? I'm assuming it's under Disney's Aladdin. Yep, there we go. Oh my gosh. I have so many happy memories with that. However, my brother and I would argue a lot because, unfortunately, since it is a one-player game, you know, we had to take turns, and like whenever he wanted to play the console, I would like, no, I want to play Aladdin again for the millionth time. And I got so good at it that I just like, I could beat it in one day. It's just so much fun. Yeah, love that game, especially. My first game ever... No, I've never played Mario Paint, unfortunately. I don't know why. That's good. Kuro says 90 to 94 is early 90s kid. 95 to 99 is late 90s baby. Granted, these are meaningless labels. I agree. Especially people born in the late 90s. Like, a lot of media, you know, cartoons, video games, etc., just like hype from movies. I mean, even the hype from Pokemon itself like carried over into the early 2000s. So I don't like when people kind of get a little bit snooty about like, well, if you were born in 1997 or 8, you know, you're not technically a 90s kid. So I mean, I get it, but you know, for people maybe born in like 2005, you know, you're definitely not a 90s kid. But like, I consider myself a 90s kid because I do remember a lot of this stuff. If anything, I mean, I just wish maybe if I had been born a few years earlier, that I feel like I could have spent more time just enjoying the decade itself, because I feel like it was just such a great, peaceful decade, and just we got just, you know, it's the pop culture is just so much fun. I really enjoyed my childhood. It was fun. So moving on, I did see NBA Jam, and that was, you wouldn't think, I don't talk a lot about sports, I'm not even a huge sports person, but we love that game as well. The basketball game, I think it was NBA. Thanks, Emmy. I'm glad you agree. Okay, so NBA Live, I believe it was NBA Live 95. Maybe it was, oh no, you know what? The 96 actually looks more familiar to me. So it was one of these NBA Lives. We loved it. I don't even know if I was that good or not, but, you know, we used to create our teams, you know, obviously based on players and teams in real life, and it was great. I forget what I was. I mean, my dad was more like knowledgeable about the actual teams, the actual players, you know, so I think he always kind of had a say on who you should pick, but playing it was a lot of fun. I feel like that's the backyard sports games are probably the closest closest to sports I've ever gotten, really. I mean, I played softball for 3 years. I don't know if that counts, but and obviously, I mean, I was a dancer, and it's debatable if you count dance as a sport, but, you know, my journey with dance is another story for another time, but, you know. What else? I could technically... I thought it would help to just go down the Wikipedia page, but I feel like this is taking forever. You know, but maybe since I just apologize. I thought I was on the Game Boy page, and I think I might have skipped over it because I eventually, you know, we had the Game Boy Advance and then we moved on to the SP, so I think I just assumed that since those, you know, the original Game Boy games worked on those consoles, that I would just keep that open. So, oh, hello, Terrell. Oh gosh, you're probably like cringing at like the lack of games that I've played. Remember, I'm younger than you, so. Yeah, so by the time, I mean, you're right, but what I was saying before is that a lot of these, you know, a lot of the pop culture and just franchises and movie series and TV series, cartoons, etc., just carried over to the early 2000s, so there's a lot I do remember. Yes, I am your sister's age, as you often remind me. So, I was gonna go back to SimCity, where there was one point. Now, I never played this on SNES. I didn't even know it was released for SNES, but I did play this on PC, along with all the like Roller Coaster Tycoon, Zoo Tycoon. I used to hijack my friends. I was talking about our childhood friends that we played a lot of video games with. They had Zoo Tycoon, and whenever we would go to their house, I would just hijack their computer and play Zoo Tycoon for hours on end, and probably not the best house guest, honestly, you know. But like when I think of Zoo Tycoon, I think of our childhood friends and family. But yeah, SimCity I played, and then eventually I got really into The Sims, you know. Only played the original Sims and Sims 3. I never, for some reason, I think I just skipped over The Sims 2, which I've heard is the best one. So, I don't know. But now that I have a PC, so I never really, even when I had Sims 3, it's just such a, very taxing on my MacBook at the time, which was like a 2009 MacBook, kind of clunky, you know, couldn't really handle all the data or whatever that well. So a lot of times it would just freeze or slow down, and, you know, I love playing Sims 3, but there was a time I'm just like, I unfortunately can't play this anymore because it's just messing up my computer, making it really hot. I've tried, and then I tried doing The Sims 4 for a while, but again, even with a newer MacBook model, it just, you know, no slander to Mac, unfortunately for Terrell, but I just did not have a great experience playing The Sims on that, so I don't know, maybe now that I have this new PC, I'll pick up The Sims again and you know, a lot of fun memories as well, just making interiors and characters. I used to recreate the some of the Annie-Poke characters, and like depending on the ships I liked at the time, I used to like have them living in a house together. They'd have a baby, and you know, create what their furniture would look like. So a really big Sims person. Windows supremacy, yeah, I know, Terrell. And yes, I have seen many reruns of old TV programs and movies on TV. Everything, like I said on a previous stream, my parents loved, you know, all the stuff that's on TV Land, you know, Little House on the Prairie, The Brady Bunch, I Dream of Jeannie, The Honeymooners, all of those old sitcoms. I grew up, you know, because they'd turn on that channel, or they would have them playing at Nick and Night. So, you know, I'd like to think I'm a little bit of an old soul with that. Wow, the Smurfs. We never had Sonic games on the, because the Genesis, we didn't have the Genesis, unfortunately. Sonic, I'll get into Sonic later with the Game Boy. Okay, so Star Fox was another one. However, again, because I was so little, I could not, and I still, for some reason, cannot get past this first level. I think the Corneria on Star Fox. Even my dad tried, and like, it's so challenging. But, you know, as much as we tried playing that game, like, I think my dad was probably the best one at that game. I don't even know if my brother was that good at it or not. But we did play Star Fox. We did have it. And I thought the little characters were so cute, like especially the rabbit, the toad, Slippy Toad, who's like ribbit, and it cracked me up. So, you know, a couple years later, you know, when I played Melee, I loved seeing those Star Fox characters show up again, and you know, to this day still be part of the Smash Brothers roster. You know, unfortunately, I just don't know why I wasn't too great at it. I want to say at one point we had Street Fighter. I don't know if somehow we gave it away or it broke, but I remember vividly playing it and like choosing a character. It just wasn't for a very long time. Oh yeah, I mean, I feel like, Terrell, we all grew up with, yeah, like a bunch of us probably did, because we had a great advantage of having them do the reruns of Looney Tunes on Cartoon Network, like on Saturday mornings. And then they had all the spin-offs that I grew up with, you know, Baby Looney Tunes and a bunch of those other spin-offs. So, yes, and that is true, Mornox. I am probably the last generation before the social media generation. Like, when, honestly, like, a lot of the major social media channels that, you know, we use to this day, like Snapchat and Instagram, I think I was a junior in high school when Instagram first became big, and then I was a senior in high school, or really, maybe like freshman in college, when Snapchat became a big thing. Like, the first thing probably for me was like YouTube when I was in middle school, around like 2007 or 2006, was big, you know, and even then it was like Fred, or like music videos and stuff. You know, nothing like how it is today. And then the other one would be Facebook. I didn't get a Facebook until 2010, and that's primarily what we all used in high school. Like, you know, you'd have those cringy statuses, like, who wants to go on Uvu or Skype or whatever. But yeah. So I'd say I'm kind of like on the cusp of like remembering a time when, you know, we used corded phones, and, you know, the thing to do was just watch TV or go outside, or, you know, play video games or play computer games, you know, but again, nothing like how it is today, you know, using the internet. Also, hi, Robzo. How are you? So, yeah. Don't worry, chat. I will get past the SNES era. I guess it's probably finally time to talk about my favorite game of all time, Super Mario World. And that, I forget who is asking, that is the first game I ever played. Seriously. And I feel like it's, if I didn't play that game growing up, I don't know if I would have gotten super into anything else Nintendo-wise, and I don't even know if, you think about life and how, like, certain things, like, certain connections you make, like, eventually lead you to, the people you'll meet in the future and, what you'll do in the future. Like, I don't know, if I had never gotten into Nintendo or if my dad had never gotten the console, like, I don't know what my life would be like. I don't know how invested I would have been, in like the Super Mario franchise or even in the Pokemon franchise, like, which I eventually, as you all know, came to love so much. Also, High Raid Pirate. Yes, Super Mario World is a classic. I have played and replayed that game so many times, and I probably will. I remember the first time, I must have been like 6, maybe even 5. I don't know, because my brother was born. My brother and I are 3 years apart, and I remember the first time we ever defeated Bowser at the end of the game, and we just cheered. We were in our basement. It was at my childhood home at the time, and it was just so happy, just so simple. And, the music played, and we were just so, like, euphoric at the thought of, like, beating this game because, as little kids, like, sometimes these games are challenging. And, hello, Media Nut. So, it's just, it kind of paved the way for, everything else, even despite me not maybe playing as many games growing up. The few that I have played, I cherish very deeply. We also played Super Mario Kart, which was a lot of fun. Like, the side games were a lot of fun, like the Bob-omb level. There's some levels in that, oh my gosh, they were so annoying to beat. I remember the one with, like, the gopher and the ponds, where, like, you go in the pond and it'd slow you down, and the stupid gophers would pop out of the pond and, like, spin you around. But I have such a fondness for the first Rainbow Road in that game. And so good. A lot of hours spent playing Super Mario Kart, but definitely I'd say the most we've ever played, like, the game we've spent the longest time on is Super Mario World. And like I said, it's the first game I ever remember playing, and to this day, it remains my favorite video game of all time. Maybe that'll change in the future. But it just, it does come from a deep place of childhood nostalgia, but it also just comes from a place of me having fun playing it, And then I love the whole, you can play 2-player, so oftentimes my brother and I, or my dad, would play with, one of us. And even the post-game stuff, like the weird lands like Tubular and Gnarly, those levels, we had fun, like, discovering them for the first time, because, this is before, like, the internet was super, fast, and, I don't know if they had all these references and guides to things, so, like, you had to figure things out for yourself. So, whenever we discovered, like, a new level or secret, place in one of the levels, it was just a fun time, and just, I really miss that feeling. So, moving on, surprisingly enough, we didn't have any Star Wars games for the SNES. Again, I'll get back to that later. Once we get to the GameCube, oh gosh, I'll be able to talk about a lot of... I feel like the GameCube was like, it's like tied, honestly, for my favorite console. Because I have such fond memories of the SNES, but I'd say we had more games, and more games that I played on the GameCube. Like, that was really like the peak poly childhood, like 6, 7, 8, 9 years old. Yeah. I feel like I'm gonna go through our games later that we still have. Okay, I mentioned Toy Story. Now I'm gonna like kick myself for like forgetting or for like overlooking stuff that we had. I mean, really. Oh, we did have Wario's Woods. However, I think we got Wario's Woods like years later, you know, because like I said, the SNES still worked for us. The audio was perfect, the graphics were fine, you know. We played that game for over a decade, or we played that console for over a decade. So eventually we kind of got more games, and one of them, I don't even know if we found this at a garage sale or something, or maybe on eBay, but we did get Wario's Woods, and that was a lot of fun. Didn't play that as much as the others, but yeah. Oh my gosh, I cannot. Okay, so I didn't play this as much growing up. Okay, we had this game, WWF Super WrestleMania. Now, my dad is a huge wrestle fan. WrestleMania WWE fan. So, I don't know if this is his doing buying this, or again, if it came I don't know how he got this game, but we used to play this a lot. Like, I just laugh hysterically just at the way that these wrestlers were animated and like pummel each other and like drop kick each other. That was a lot of fun. I didn't play it as much as my brother and my dad did, but we did own this game. It was hilarious. Unfortunately, along with saying that I never owned the Sega Genesis, because we spent so much time with the SNES and then eventually transitioned over to using the GameCube, for some reason, we just kind of skipped over the N64. It wasn't something that I was honestly aware of. I don't even know if my dad knew about. Maybe he did, but like he just figured, oh, you know, they're content with the SNES. So, like, it wasn't such a huge deal to kind of go out and buy every single console. My brother and I were just content with what we had. Like I said, I wasn't even aware that the N64 even existed, which is kind of crazy to think about, you know, with these days, like, you know, with just news and then movies and video games, etc., that are coming out. You know, we have directs now that announce things ahead of time. Like, it's just, you know, maybe you'd see it in an upcoming magazine or something, but, you know, it's just, things are so different now. Like, I didn't know about it. So I unfortunately have never played, we didn't own an N64, and unfortunately did not play a lot, like, any games, unless I, you know, went to like a party or a friend's house and they had the N64. But even then, not many friends that I knew had them. So that's something eventually that I would love to get my hands on or purchase, you know, because I feel like a lot of you guys, I could tell, had a lot of fun memories playing some of those beloved games growing up. For our birthdays, so my brother and I are both born in April. We're 3 days and 3 years apart, and we, for our birthdays, found out about the Game Boy Advance coming out, and I guess we asked our parents for it for our birthdays, and we got it. My brother got the blue one, and I got the pink Game Boy Advance, and so many fun memories. I keep saying that, but it's true. Playing games on that Game Boy Advance, you know, on road trips, you know, just chilling, like, on the couch, and, you know, like, parents tell you to go to bed, and then you say, okay, we're going to bed, and then you keep playing in the dark. I never had the light, though. I always thought it was the coolest thing that, like, for classmates or friends that had the light, were, you know, because they didn't have like a backlight. you had, you had to have something that made you see. Like I said before, I did play a lot of these backyard games. We didn't have them for the Game Boy Advance, though. Oh, I remember. I didn't have the Bratz Game Boy game, but I wasn't allowed to play with Bratz dolls because, like, I don't know if my mom thought they were, like, just kind of the way that they looked were just bratty, no pun intended. I guess maybe she thought Barbies were more quote-unquote wholesome. So I never really got into Bratz. My best friend at the time really liked them. No, I think she had a Bratz computer game. I don't think she ever had one for the Game Boy Advance. I mean, I will admit a lot of the, like, I continue to play Super Mario Land 2 6 Golden Coins on the Game Boy Advance, because, or even on the SP, because those could still be played on there. Oh, where's Richie? Crash. Okay, so Crash Bandicoot. I believe it was this one, The Huge Adventure. This was also one of my favorite Game Boy games. I remember like certain levels were like super challenging, but eventually, like, when I think I first beat it when I was at my grandma's house, and I was like so happy when I finally beat the game. It was like the stupid space level where you had to go on these like floating platforms. I don't know if Richie's here, but yeah, this is the only Crash game I've ever played. I don't even know how I became into it, like how we even, I don't know, I thought, oh, this looks interesting, because it was kind of unlike anything else we were so used to, like Mario and Kirby and stuff. So one of my definite favorite games growing up. And a lot of these we still have as well. Didn't have any Disney Princess. I had a PC computer game, like a Disney Princess one. I think actually Cosmic had the same one we were talking about. Where you like dress them up and like put them into different stories. There were different like mini games and stuff. That was a fun game. But yeah, that was on a PC. The only Lilo and Stitch game I ever played was the one on the actual like Disney Channel website, where the sandwich stacker game. Only the real OGs remember that banger. So my sister actually loved Cooking Mama Kekula. That was her game. I played it a couple times. I liked it, but she was like obsessed with it. We did have that though. Yeah, I didn't mention that. I closed the page already, but Kirby Superstar, I loved. Like, that was the other game we probably spent hours on, my brother and I. And there were different mini games. I don't know if anybody's ever played Kirby Superstar, but there were different kind of like mini games within the like overarching game, if that makes any sense. Our favorite one, or at least my favorite one to play, was like the Milky Way, because that was kind of like the longest in length, and had a lot of different planets that you would visit, kind of in order, and different creatures and different bosses. And I remember that we were so happy when we beat Marx, the villain of the Milky Way game. I've also played and replayed Kirby Superstar like a million times at this point. I wish that I don't think they have it for Nintendo Online, because I remember I was so excited when I found out the Nintendo Online or Switch Online was a thing, and I didn't see that included. But I don't know, maybe now that one of my favorite childhood games is there, the 6 Golden Coins, they'll bring me Kirby Superstar. Alright, wow, Pokemon. I don't know if I should make this into a completely separate podcast or video, but I think you all, like, a majority of you in the chat might know that I didn't play Pokemon as a kid. There's a variety of reasons, but, you know, it's something I always kind of feel like I missed out on. My first real memory of the games was actually when we had like a family friends come stay with us, who lived in New York, but they came down to visit us for the weekend and whatnot. And I remember that, I forget where we were going, maybe we were going to see a movie or something, or out to eat. And the family friend who was around my age, he was 8 years old, had Fire Red. And I think he had a Fearow, and he had a Pokemon that knew the move Shockwave. And he let me play it because I wasn't allowed to play Pokemon. And I don't know if I should get into that, but just, you know, it was just a combination of I wasn't super interested in it, and then I also, partly was because I wasn't allowed to watch it growing up and not allowed to play it. I think just because there were a lot of misconceptions that I feel like went around and kind of in the community that we were sort of in. Like, I don't want to place any blame on like my family or my church or school, but I think it was just kind of assumed that like, oh, maybe it was like a bit darker, like they have the elements of like magic, and which is true in terms of elements of magic, but I think, I don't know if they thought it was like kind of cultish just because of there's a lot that kind of what just went into why I didn't, you know, until like I was a teenager, got into Pokemon. Now, me being kind of the obedient oldest sibling, you know, was like, okay, well, fine, I'll play other games. But my brother decided to be the rebellious one, and eventually he just begged my mom one year. He's like, please, this new Pokemon game is coming out. I really want to play it. All my friends have it, etc. And that is what kind of jump-started everything. When he first got Pokemon Diamond, yeah, Kikula. So notice how I haven't said Pokemon at all. So it's sad, but you know, it's never too late, and that's one of the reasons why I'm not super great at the games, because I feel like, you know, a lot of you, I'm assuming, played Pokemon as a child, and like, you know, your brain was a sponge, just absorbing all the type effectiveness and move sets and natures, and even though natures didn't really, I believe, anyway, just all the different concepts and mechanics and just Pokemon themselves, like, you just absorbed that like a sponge and it stayed with you, whereas I've kind of had to, I guess my brain has kind of had to work a little bit harder now that I'm like in my late 20s to remember certain things. Like I forget certain type effectiveness. I don't know, you know, how strong certain moves are, you know, against others, or it's definitely a lot to learn, but you know what? It doesn't matter. Like, you know, it's not really unless you're like competing professionally, you know, at Worlds or whatever. It's not, to me, it's not supposed to be some grand competition. You know, you're supposed to have fun with it. You know, I like a lot of the world building with Pokemon. I like the music. I like the characters. To an extent, I love the games and the story and the Pokemon themselves. It's just, like I said, kind of taking a little bit more brain power for me to really get used to the mechanics that, like, for them, they're not as second nature for me as they are for a lot of you who have grown up with the franchise from a young age. So yeah, right, I totally agree, Kikula. As long as you have fun, that's all that matters. So, you know, and I appreciate that, you know, a lot of you have really helped me through the through some of my streams, just like with the simplest of things regarding Pokemon. You know, how to get to from point A to point B. You know, some people might scoff or make fun of me for that, but you know what? Everybody goes at their own pace. Another one of my first games ever growing up, Sonic Advance. The very first one. This game I liked. It was frustrating at times. I hated the stupid snow level. Because like, you'd slip everywhere and you'd like drown and whatnot. But it is nostalgic to me. It was my first ever, out of the few Sonic games I've played, it was the first ever one that I did play, and yeah, it was fun. Like I said, we didn't have the Sega Genesis, so I actually never played the original until years later at a friend's house, the original Sonic game. So this was essentially my very first game and just the earliest Sonic thing that I remember. I spent a lot of time, Terrell's probably not surprised at this, in the Chow Garden, raising my Chow. I love the little slice of life, side like quests, you know. I'll get to a different Sonic game later in terms of side activities, but yeah, Sonic Advance. My favorite level in Sonic Advance was the two casino levels. I love the music, or just like the aesthetic. That was a lot of fun. Those two levels are probably my favorite. The first one is always nostalgic and classic. Yes, SpongeBob Battle for Bikini Bottom. There's a lot of fun. SpongeBob is one of, if not probably my favorite cartoon of all time. So we jumped at the chance to get this when it came out. Didn't play any other games though. I feel like that's probably the most iconic SpongeBob Game Boy game, if I had to guess. Chat, you could tell me if I'm wrong. Alright, so here, this was one of my absolute favorite games growing up. Hours and hours playing this game. It's probably one of the reasons why I didn't play like a super like a big quantity of games, because I just kind of I played hours and hours of the same ones over again. WarioWare was so much fun. It was so entertaining. They had, because like there's, like I said, there's a lot of like mini games within the overarching game itself. And they actually, within the game, there are a lot of classic games like Duck Hunt and whatnot, like some of the Mario stuff. So yeah, WarioWare is such a classic. I'm so glad that it's on the Switch online now. And I'm looking for, maybe I should stream that. I don't know if that's something that you guys would want to see me stream. Yeah, I never sadly got into Yu-Gi-Oh! That's kind of a similar thing with Pokemon. Like, just, I don't know, like, I guess the community that I kind of grew up around or whatever, they weren't too into the whole anime thing. So I never really grew up watching anime, unfortunately, until, again, like I was a teenager. So, yeah. Okay. No, I never played Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles games. Alright, so now we're gonna go to the GameCube. I love the GameCube so much. First things first, the very first thing, 1080 Avalanche. We love playing this game. It was so cool, no pun intended. It was kind of a nice, refreshing break, I guess, away from the typical, you know, I don't know, it's like, I love listening to the music. It was just, and honestly, it was just such a calming game. Just going down the slopes and whatnot, and just like the different music in the background, like designing your like snowboard. It was a lot of fun. It was a kind of nice break. Then we cannot forget about the very first Animal Crossing game. I remember specifically I asked for this game for Christmas because I saw, I forget which, it was in the little what was it, like slip of paper that you would get, like, when you would get a Game Boy game and they would say, like, what's coming out soon. I remember seeing that, like, oh, soon, Animal Crossing. And I was so impatient for Animal Crossing to come out. And so I asked for it for Christmas, and then we got it later that year. And ever since then, I have just fallen in love with Animal Crossing. I have such fond memories with this game in particular. I liked how a lot of the villagers, and you'll see this with people who grew up playing this and now have moved on to New Horizons, that the villagers were much meaner in this game. Like they'd like call you ugly. Like they'd have some hot takes for you. Especially if you didn't like drop off their present right away, or like, you know, they'd call you lazy and stupid. Like they were it was not like, they'd said some things that would not fly in this day and age. So I found it hilarious. Oh my gosh, especially making them angry. So yeah, many great memories. I must have been like 7 years old when I first played Animal Crossing. We've gone through many different towns, because I know it's New Horizons is an island, but the original Animal Crossing, if you're not familiar, you move to a new town, and you were kind of like the new villager, whereas it's more like in New Horizons, you were the like person who really builds up the island and gets, you know, villagers to move there. Whereas this one, you were the new person in their turf, so they had to kind of get to know you, and you had to sort of prove yourself by helping around the town and working obviously at Nook's Cranny and whatnot. You know, just simple times, fishing for salmon and selling it, and yeah. But I am so glad that I wound up getting this game, because, you know, years later, who would have thought that, you know, in the time of the pandemic, that, you know, the new Animal Crossing that came out would just keep me company throughout, you know, those more difficult times that year of 2020. And then I wound up bonding over it with, you know, a lot of people, like friends in real life who never played Animal Crossing growing up, and they just found a love for it when New Horizons came out. So it's just such a wonderful, wholesome franchise. It's something that I've played often, you know, now and in the past, to calm me down and just, you know, focus, you know, when you're having a bad day. The music is just very so nostalgic and calming to me. So yeah, love Animal Crossing forever. They are grade A meanies. Yeah, no, the very first one for the GameCube came out in Japan in 2001. I don't know, well, I can't really move the browser around just because I've cropped it for Twitch, but I think I got it for some reason in 2002. But I don't know. Because I specifically remember being like 7 years old. Wait a second. We had this game. Oh my gosh. We had this game, I believe. This was so much fun. So, fun fact, actually, my parents both love Godzilla. But my mom, she has watched all the old movies. They are huge Godzilla fans. So I think when we saw this game come out, yes, I loved this game. I forgot I don't even know if we still have this. Another crime I've committed, another Nintendo crime, never played Legend of Zelda. My brother is the big Legend of Zelda person in our family. He has the history book, could tell you all the trivia, has played probably every game. Yeah. That is something that is on my bucket list. I don't know why. I think I just wasn't super into it. Okay, so another game we loved playing was Lego Star Wars. We had both the first and the second one. or the original trilogy, and you know, these were so much fun to play. We used to play them with the family friends. I love the whole customization that you could, like, I used to be Leia and then dress her up in like the different cloaks. Who knows, even knew if I dressed her up in like Vader's cloak or whatnot, and gave her like a pink lightsaber, a purple lightsaber. These were so much fun to play, and really kind of God, it was at a time where I guess, yeah, this is when, like, around the time when the third prequel came out. So I remember there was a time that we had all the Star Wars movies, or at least the original trilogy, on VHS, and we rewatched them, and that's kind of how we kind of got back into it. And later, when The Force Awakens came out, I rewatched all the movies, because, like, it's kind of a dry period with Star Wars for the longest time. And then I wanted to rewatch all of them before eventually seeing The Force Awakens in 2015. So, yeah, but a lot of fun. And Legos in general, you know, we had Legos around our house. The family friends that I mentioned also had them at their house, and we just had so much fun playing with them. Luigi's Mansion was another missed opportunity. Again, for some reason we weren't allowed to, because it had ghosts, and like, it's so dumb. I'm like, seriously, like, these two, another family favorite. Double Dash to this day is probably like the Mario Kart game I've played the most. So much fun, so many happy memories. Along with golf. I didn't play golf as much as I did Double Dash, but I don't remember if we had the baseball game. I remember that. One time, my mom like wanted to randomly play with us, and she was Toadsworth, and she's like, well, I don't really know how to do this, but you know, we wanted her to play with us and spend some time with us. So she stepped up to the plate as Toadsworth, and she hit a home run. It was the funniest moment ever, because Toadsworth like wasn't even the first person that we'd choose to be on our teams. I don't even know if he was that great, like, statistically, but somehow she just swung and scored us a home run. It was hilarious. Mario Party 6 was, I believe, yeah, we had Mario Party 6. We didn't have any of the other ones. I don't know why. This was a lot of fun, caused many arguments. Yeah, so much fun. Alright, another fan favorite, Sonic Adventure 2 Battle. So I will say I did play like a good chunk of this game. However, it was my brother that ultimately played every single, you know, all, like, both the heroes and the villain side of things, and wound up finishing the game. I never finished the game because, you know what I was doing half the time? I was in the Chow Garden raising my Chow. And I had the time of my life. In fact, my brother would always get mad at me because, like, he wanted to actually do the story part of it, while all I wanted to do was stay in the Chow Garden. So I remember I cried when my first Chow, I named it Blue, and I wasn't aware of this. The Chows could become angels once they reach a certain level. So I was sad because I'm like, oh, it died, and like I actually started crying, and it was embarrassing, but oh man, we still have it, and it's just the music in this too. Oh my gosh, I used to make up dances to the character insert songs around the living room. Another thing that my brother would get mad at me for, because he's like, come on, can we play the game already? And all I wanted to do was actually like make up dance routines to like Amy's theme and Rouge's theme and Sonic's theme. I actually have some of these on my Spotify on like a Nintendo like growing up simpler times playlist that I have. I had the Pumpkin Hill theme on it. It was funny when we went to Worlds DC, when I first, you know, when the Pokepod all came together that very first time, we randomly kind of broke out into song, specifically Richie, Tyrone, and Terrell singing or rapping the Pumpkin Hill theme. So that was a fun. Every time I hear that, I think of them now. And I actually added it. If anybody's checked out our Pokepod playlist, or the best of the best, I've added it just because that reminds me of them. Also, hi Cosmic and hi Sergi. Nice seeing you guys. Thank you for coming to my, me rambling about boring history of Polly playing Nintendo games growing up. But it's for the kids. Like I said, I might go ahead and drop this link in just again in case anybody again would like to donate. It is so amazing just taking a break from my my trip down memory lane that we have raised almost $1,400. I am just amazed. I'm so happy. And I'm sure these kids really, really I hope that they are super happy. Receiving just the care and the cheering up that they so deserve. And it's all thanks to you guys. So thank you so much. It's been such a wonderful month of March in regards to just all the stuff that the pod, both individually and together, has been doing to raise money for Starlight Children's Foundation. So thank you again so much. So I will. Oh, thank you, Cosmic. Thank you. Appreciate it. Cosmic dropped the link in the chat in case you'd like to donate. Like I mentioned before, no pressure, but anything is appreciated. We'll continue to have that link active throughout the month of March. And, so continuing on with GameCube. Oh, well, here we go. Okay, so my brother likes Super Mario Strikers. I didn't play it too much. I don't know. I didn't really like the gameplay. I found it was a little chaotic and overwhelming for my taste, but he had a lot of fun with it. Also, this is my second favorite game of all time. I don't know if anybody remembers Tyrone's playthrough of it, which was chaotic and lots of fun. A couple years ago, I think during the pandemic, or maybe it was 2021, I think we played. I can't remember. But Super Mario Sunshine, I have played and replayed this game so many times. Maybe not as much as the original, Donnie, don't make me bring up that clip of me looking at the guide. Okay, you know what? Some of the levels in this game, I remember better than others, but this is such a beloved game of mine. I could play it right now if I wanted. And we still have it. It's just so much fun. It's like a mixture of just slice of life, them going on vacation. Like the whole concept is just bizarre and hilarious to me, but so much fun. My favorite level or land or whatnot is probably the one with the hotel. I don't know what it is about me and casinos, but it has a casino in it. And I love the aesthetic. I love going into all the different hotel rooms to try to find different hidden items or try to find what's his name, Bowser Jr. So yeah, second favorite game of all time, right behind Super Mario World. And then Super Monkey Ball and Super Monkey Ball 2, we had both of these. In fact, I think my brother was actually playing it a couple of days ago. He's playing the new one that came out. Some of these levels are very frustrating, especially for me. My brother's always much better at video games than I am, so I wasn't the greatest, but these were super fun to play. And I get kind of like a breath of fresh air, I guess, from the typical, the Mario franchise and whatnot. Just kind of a different, switching up the characters and just the concepts and stuff. So definitely had a lot of fun with Super Monkey Ball. So let's go on to Wii games. So the Wii came out when I was in 7th grade, but I feel like I don't the memories I have really playing it were 8th grade throughout high school, especially in 8th grade. That's all I did. We lived around the corner one point. So we moved from my childhood home in 2006 to a house actually near our childhood friends. And despite living around the corner from them, we used to send messages to each other on the Wii. I mean, this was before, like, I was allowed to have a cell phone. I had a cell phone, but it was one of those, like, in 7th grade, I had one just to communicate with my mom, like, when she needed to pick me up from dance class and whatnot, or from the school dance, you know. Or, God forbid, an emergency, but it wasn't, you know, I don't even think I, like, texted actively until I was in high school. And even then, I had, like, maybe, like, an MV2? Or an I don't even remember. Way before the iPhone. Did not have an iPhone, I think, until I was, like, a sophomore or junior in high school. So, where I'm getting with that is that, you know, it's not like I could really... Even, like, I didn't use, like, AOL or AIM that much. So this was like for some reason, our main form of communication with our friends that lived around the corner. So whenever we weren't at each other's houses, we would just send stupid messages to each other on the Wii. And it was so much fun, like seeing that blue light glow on the Wii, waking up in the morning, like, oh, we have a message from Redacted, last name. It was hilarious. And then, obviously, with the Me channel, we made so many different Me's. I made ones of, like, my different facial expressions. So I had, like, Mad Polly, Sad Polly, Crazy Polly, Sick Polly. So dumb, but, you know, what do you expect from, like, a 13-year-old? So, I will say around this time is when I started getting into Pokemon, because, like I said, my brother begged my mother for Pokemon Diamond. And that is what... I want to eventually make a video or podcast talking about my history with Pokemon and how I got into it. But just kind of the short version is that's... My brother getting Diamond is how... And then eventually Emerald. Because he just wanted to play more games. You know, they never got to play growing up as well. Kind of jump-started us getting super into Pokemon in 2009, when I started high school. And around the time, you know, by that point, Diamond Pearl, the anime was in full swing. And then eventually Best Wishes came out, and Best Wishes in black and white. Well, at least Best Wishes, the anime, was a huge part of my high school journey or experience, etc. But for now, let's go through some of the Wii games aside from me talking about Pokemon. I'm just saying that this was essentially the era where I first got into Pokemon. So, let's see. Now, I was a very busy high schooler. Like I mentioned, I danced, like that was my big thing growing up. I danced multiple times a week. I was part of a dance team or a dance club. Like, I was also involved in the plays and different clubs and activities in school. So, you know, I don't think I played the Wii as much as my brother did, but, you know, definitely that year, 8th grade going into 9th grade, that whole summer, we just hours and hours played the Wii. But it's kind of like the same thing where we just essentially play the same games over and over again. Spent a lot of time on the Me channel, and then of course, you go to a party at a friend's house or just hang out with friends, and I had my fair share of playing Guitar Hero and Just Dance casually. Wasn't something I played hours on end, but definitely that's kind of like the more social games I played on like a more casual level. Super Smash Bros. Brawl. Oh, I didn't even mention Melee. I keep forgetting. Well, Melee for the GameCube was, to this day, it's still my favorite Super Smash Bros. Game. But obviously, when Brawl came out, I played a lot of that. I love the concept of Lucario. Call me overrated or call me like typical, but I think I mained Lucario for the most part. I also mained Zelda and Pikachu and Brawl. And Princess Peach to an extent. But most of the time I was Pikachu. I really liked being Pikachu and Lucario. So Super Smash Bros. Brawl was a favorite. So was, going down the list here. So was Super Mario Sluggers. I was an ace. I was the best player in my whole family with that game. And the funniest part about Super Mario Sluggers is that I used Mii's. I used Mii's. I didn't even use the regular characters who had all the nifty power-ups and stuff. I just made a team of Mii's and I won like almost every single time. I just got so good at it. I don't know why. And my brother and my dad would get so frustrated. They're like, how are you doing this? I'm like, I don't know. So that's like one of the hilarious mysteries to this day. We don't know, how I got so good at that. But if I had bragging rights, that would be it. Another fan favorite was Wii Music. Oh my gosh, played so much Wii Music, and I used to, like I said, in playing, in going on the Mii channel, we used to make our family, our friends, different, I made all the Anipo characters at one point. Like I made Brock, Misty, Ash, and then to an extent, like a lot of the like more obscure characters. I think I even made Jesse and James and Butch and Cassidy, and I used to have them play Wii Music or be their characters in Wii Music, and like create music videos on Wii Music where they were essentially playing instruments and singing and whatnot. So we had a lot of fun playing Wii Music. I feel like it's one of the more underrated games out of the whole like Wii kind of like standard series that include like the Mii's. Like Wii Sports obviously, came with it, played, enjoyed, but definitely me being more interested in playing music and obviously like I guess a casual musician myself with knowing how to play piano, I just took to it so quickly. Yeah. I know we had Mario Kart, I know we had Mario Galaxy. I again have not played Mario Galaxy. Now I do have the bundle that came out for the Switch a couple of years ago. But again, it's just, now that I have the technology, I can essentially play it or stream it at some point. But at the time, just like it just was a lot for my MacBook, which is why I've held off on streaming for a number of years, just because it just couldn't handle it. So now I think it's just a matter of really choosing a game and sticking with it. And I've decided that aside from Scarlet and Violet, the one game that I want to stream eventually is Pokemon Black and White. Specifically White, as I was given that as a gift from a friend in college. So that is the physical copy that I have. Well, not that that matters. I'd be playing with an emulator anyway. But, I don't know. We'll figure it out. But yeah, that is what I want to do first. And then I think from there, we'll see. I'll see what I feel like playing, Yeah, so Just Dance. I want to say that I don't even know if we had Just Dance, but just from going to different friends' houses, these like the first couple, like maybe the first 3 or 4 games, I have fond memories playing with friends at their house and just getting that physical activity up. Guitar Hero as well. I sucked at Guitar Hero, but again, fun playing. We did have Guitar Hero. We also had Band Hero as well. And we liked that because we grew up, my dad is a huge classic rock fan. So we grew up listening to a lot of his CDs, whether in his car or on our CD player. You know, everything from Journey to Boston to Kiss to to Def Leppard, you know, to other classic rock bands, more obscure ones. So we really liked playing Band Hero and Guitar Hero. Also just getting introduced to bands and songs that we had never heard before, you know, and also more the alternative or punk scene as well, just in that kind of 2000s era of music. Oh, did I pass Kirby Air Ride? We loved Kirby Air Ride as well. A lot of fun. Was Kirby Air Ride for the Game? Why did I skip so many GameCube games? I don't even know. I feel like my brother had one of these. He also, I think, eventually got Mario Kart Wii and then Mario Party 8. And then he loved... Oh, there's Mario Super Sluggers, as I said. I still love this game. We haven't played it in so long, but that, when I think of high school, when I think of like 8th and 9th grade, I think of that. And like I said, you know, I didn't have a Facebook till 2010, you know. I was the oldest sibling, so obviously my brother and sister didn't have social media. You know, that was the thing to do. You played video games, watched TV, watched movies, or you played outside or you played with toys. So like, you know, spent a lot of hours with those games. We really didn't have a lot of games that were based off of like, aside from like Aladdin and Toy Story and then SpongeBob, like based off of like TV and oh no, we had the Pokemon channel, which I think was just like a random channel you could download. Cause like I said, at that point, you know, we were into Pokemon. I don't think my parents could care less about like what we really. Oh, Raider Rabbit. There's a throwback. We did not. I can't believe this was released on the Wii. Maybe it was just in. I don't know. But we had I had Raider Rabbit for PC, and that was like the real old. Oh my gosh. This must have been like remastered or something because. I was probably like 6 or 7 when we had that for PC. Now, my brother, I really didn't play any Sonic games for Wii. Really, like my experience with Sonic is literally Sonic Advance on the Game Boy Advance and Sonic Adventure 2 Battle. Anyone has any recommendations for their favorite Sonic games? By all means, drop them in the chat. Maybe my brother has them somewhere. I know he has Sonic games laying around, like plenty of them, but you know. Yeah, I don't think we even had the Star Wars games we played were GameCube. And then we had Brawl, of course. Okay, and then obviously Wii Music, Wii Sports. I think we have Wii Sports. Yes, we did have Wii Sports Resort. No, there's Dean's favorite. One day I'll play Xenoblade. I love the music so much. Like, I listen to the music. That happens a lot with me. I will listen to, like, soundtracks and not, like, the actual game. Alright, well. In terms of, we have the DS and the... Honestly, from my experience with the DS, I will say that the most I ever played on the traditional DS was Nintendogs, Cookie Mama, and like any Game Boy Advance games that could be played on there. Like going through this kind of fast, like it was more it wasn't until the 3DS I really, because what happened was, here's a fun little story, not so fun actually. The childhood friends that I mentioned, the ones that we lived around the corner from, they, you know, we used to carpool a lot, again, since we lived in such close proximity of each other, and, you know, sometimes we would, you know, borrow their games, they would borrow ours, or our consoles. So I, being the, I guess, nice person, I'll put that lightly, but I was allowed two of the siblings in the childhood friend family to borrow my DS, it was the white DS, the original, like the original DS. They fought over it and holding each end, and they bent it back. And for a while I was still able to play it even though it was bent, but then one day I picked up the DS and it broke in half. So for the longest time I did not have a DS. My brother wound up, we shared that one, I believe, and then he wound up just, maybe he asked for a new one for Christmas. For some reason I didn't care that much. I should have put the DS before the Wii, because I feel like, from what I remember, I remember playing the, I don't know. But anyway, there wasn't too much I played on the regular DS, if I had to be honest. Even when Animal Crossing New Leaf came out, just hearing that hurts. Yes, I was pissed. But, you know, obviously I wasn't gonna, like, stop being friends with, you know, it's an accident. The younger sibling was very young. She was, I don't even remember, maybe 5. So I couldn't be too mad. You know, they just, you know, we were also in the car when that happened, so I guess, I don't know if the car was moving and they were just fighting over it, and it just happened that way that it broke in half. So, oh boy. Yeah, Nintendogs, I liked a lot. Obviously, I wish that it would come out already for the Switch. I'd be playing the heck out of that right now if it did. Yeah. This was at a time where I was on a competition team for dance in middle school. So again, I was just always out of the house. You know, these past, and then like I said, I also played softball, so yeah, I'm gonna skip the DS portion just for the sake of time. And then in terms of the 3DS, my few favorites were, man, I see it right here, Tomodachi Life came out in, what was it, 2013, 2014. I remember playing it when I was on vacation in Mexico. That was a lot of fun. And like, similar to the Me channel with the Wii, I created a lot of the Anipo characters, and then I would have them, like, you couldn't really choose who would end up with who. I don't know if Cosmic is still here, but she's been playing recently again, and it's just hilarious, the ships that want, or the people that get paired up in that game, depending on what happens. Now, some of them were a little interesting because I made the mistake of mixing family members with Anipo characters and having them all live on my Tomodachi Life island. So at some point, I'm pretty sure my grandfather ended up with, like, Soledad, I think. It was some crazy ships. I think I ended up with Chili, which was, Chili's cute, so I didn't mind that so much. But it was kind of hilarious seeing just the interactions that went on with the Miis and Tomodachi Life. That's another game I wish that would come out for the Switch, because I would just be playing the heck out of that as well. And then, obviously, for the 3DS is when I started playing Pokemon games. The first game I ever completed was Pokemon Y. And I played that when I was, like, when I think of the 3DS, I was in college. I got it my freshman year of college around either Black Friday or Thanksgiving. And I was so excited because around that time I had met a lot of friends in college who, you know, they were really into anime, they were into video games, and we just spent hours and hours in the student lounge in the dorm building where we lived at the time, just hanging out, you know, yes, doing homework or maybe not doing homework, and just, you know, a lot of them shared or appreciated the fact that I still watched the Pokemon anime, so they would like ask me questions about it, or, you know, we'd reminisce over the parts that they, or the series that they did watch. That's how I met one of my best friends, the one who I said gave me my copy of Pokemon White, because I think either she just, I don't know, I think she might have had another copy of it, or maybe she had Black, I don't remember, but yeah, Pokemon Y was the first Pokemon game that I played all the way through and finished. It's actually kind of nostalgic for me. I played that game on the train ride to New York City when I had my first internship. And it really, you know, in terms of the freezing cold mornings and just the stress of making sure I got on the train on time, and then also just the stress of being able to, you know, get through and handle the, you know, the administrative tasks that came with my first internship, which was at a PR firm in New York City. You know, it was all very new to me, and it was kind of what just started my career, or at least my original career. Pokemon kept me company during that time. Also helped me was the next year when I had my second internship at a major TV, a news network, also in Manhattan. Had to take the train for that as well. And I played Pokemon Moon on the train. So Pokemon Y and Pokemon Moon, they were with me through my last 2 years of college. And, you know, maybe they're not the most talked about Pokemon games, especially X and Y, you know, they're kind of hit or miss, I feel like, for the fans. You know, obviously the transition into the 3D aspect of things, and then there was the glitch with Lumio City. Maybe the gameplay or the story, the plot, etc. wasn't as exciting as, let's say, some of the previous generations. I don't know. Everybody kind of has their own biases when it comes to Pokemon, but do I remember? I definitely enjoyed. There's a very, very special place in my heart for Y and for Moon. So, and then when I graduated college, I played Alpha Sapphire, which I think my brother let me. It was originally his, and I don't know if he had both of them, or he just, you know, I don't know, he didn't have much interest in playing it. So he gave it to me, and I played Alpha Sapphire when I went to Italy, and I spent 4 weeks in Italy with cousins and family. I also, kind of as a graduation gift, I took a tour of different parts of Italy, but it was more when we stayed with our family members in Sicily and kind of spent time like on the off days where we weren't really doing much. Maybe it was too hot out, because it was very, very, very hot in Sicily, especially in August around that time. So there are certain days where like I would just sit on the hammock in my cousin's out on my cousin's veranda, and, you know, we'd eat lunch, and then everybody would kind of take their little siesta, and I would just play through Alpha Sapphire. Very fond of my team for that. I know I had a Flygon. My starter was Finn the Swampert. And what else? I can't remember. I think I had a Sableye. Oh, I had Manectric. Can't really remember the others. In Y, I had a Stoutland. I had, was it a Sylveon? Oh boy, I can't remember my what. I know. Oh well, I had Greninja. Greninja is my second favorite Pokemon, and I loved that Greninja a lot. I forget what I named it. Gosh, I should go back and check these. I haven't checked these game files in a long time. I can't remember. The Y team I really have not. I can't remember too much of. But I do remember that Stoutland. I was actually gifted that Stoutland by a friend who's actually married with and has a baby with the friend who I said gave me that copy of White. They fell in love and got married and now they're happily married with, and live in a house and have a baby, and I'm beyond happy for them. But yes, the guy who gave me that Stoutland in Y eventually married my friend who gave me my copy of White. So it's just funny how things work out. Yeah, and then Moon, oh gosh, I can't even remember. And then we have the Switch, and obviously, in terms of the Switch games, I mean, I don't even need to look at Wikipedia. I can just, take a look at the games I have right now, just kind of finishing things up. So obviously I have Pokemon Violet. I'm enjoying that very much so far. Pokemon Shield was wonderful. It is one of my favorite games. I know it's very controversial with the graphics and whatnot, and maybe people again feel like the story was a little bit lackluster. I mean, I disagree. I enjoyed everything about Sword and Shield, and it's the Pokemon game I've spent the most hours on. Very fond memories playing with the Pokepod. I feel like that kind of solidified, like that, when, especially going into the pandemic and just, we played that so much. Just, again, along with Animal Crossing New Horizons, which next on the list, just games that I really cherish and games that got me through the pandemic. And I feel like they kind of, I could probably say the same for a lot of us, whether in the chat or anyone listening, that the Switch was there for us, and all the people that we played games with and connected with during that time. It's just really great. I have Legends Arceus. I still have yet to finish Legends Arceus, and then Shining Pearl. I have almost done, but I cannot beat Cynthia. She's challenging, and my team is not really the strongest, I guess. I don't know. I also have Super Mario Odyssey I didn't finish. Yeah, the Switch games, unfortunately for me, it's like the land of unfinished games. This era has also been kind of a busy time for me. Not so much as in like going out and doing activities like sports or dance or whatnot the way I used to, but more so, the past few years between the pandemic and then also me starting grad school and being in graduate school for 2 years, earning my degree in school counseling. There's times where, I had to put the Switch down and write papers and go to class and go to internships and whatnot. So, especially 2021 when Legend Arceus came out, I think it came out that year. It's like, it was very patchy, my involvement. Even you'd see with the pod, I was very kind of on and off just because I was in graduate school. I also had 2 jobs that I was doing at the same time to help the cost of tuition. So, yeah, the Switch and I were getting there, Another favorite is Let's Go Pikachu. I did finish Let's Go Pikachu. Also, that's my favorite game to catch shinies in. We'll see if Violet will probably eventually rival that, but that's how I caught one of my shiny Poliwags, just doing the encounter method a million times. So yeah, Let's Go Pikachu I've really liked, and I don't know if I'm the rare case of this, but I hope that eventually they might do a Let's Go Johto, because I enjoyed those games. I think they were easy to play, especially for people like me who, maybe didn't play the games growing up, or for kids who didn't play the games growing up, but that's a debate for another time. And then lastly, like I mentioned before, Super Mario 3D All-Stars. I played Super Mario Sunshine many times, but as for the other two, Super Mario 64 and then Galaxy, I have yet to play. So again, I'm hoping probably when I finish a playthrough of Black and White that I can eventually start on that, because that's also my bucket list. I've always heard good things about Super Mario for Nintendo 64. a lot of fond memories that people have playing those games, as well as Galaxy is such a beloved game. You know, it's one my brother grew up playing and absolutely loved. It's probably his favorite out of that sort of 3D world franchise, or series rather. So yeah, we're really looking forward to eventually tackling the list of games that I have yet to finish or have yet to start. But with that being said, I think I've gone out this for 2 hours, which is actually what I kind of planned to do. And I just want to thank you all so much for taking the time out to listen to me kind of ramble on and, like I said, go down memory lane. And if you have donated, I'm sorry, I don't have the notification. Cosmic, I give you permission. I give Cosmic permission to scold me for not for forgetting to put that code in so that I would get the Whirl pop up. But thank you if you have donated. Thank you so much. We really appreciate it, and I know the kids will appreciate it as well. You are really putting a smile on their face when you donate. And I'm hoping that we can reach our goal by the end of the month. But you know, it's just amazing to see how far we've come in terms of donations for Starlight Children's Foundation. So thank you so much. I'm sorry, like you all deserve a shout out for whoever did donate. And if you did, let me know so that we can talk about incentives or figure that out. I can maybe work with Cosmic to, you know, just make sure that you will get, if you did donate, you know, you will get that incentive fulfilled as promised. But thank you, and for whoever didn't donate, thank you so much just for watching and for supporting me in my first podcast of Whirl Talk, episode 1. So this will probably go up on YouTube. You know, just I'm so used to streaming on Twitch and doing podcasts on Twitch that I just felt like chatting here. But I might switch over to YouTube. We'll see if that works. Anyway, feel free. If you'd like to follow me, I would appreciate the follow. You can follow me here on Twitch at Polly's World, all one word. On YouTube, I'm Polly's POLI''S space WHIRLD, Polly's World. And then on Twitter and on Instagram, I'm also at Polly's World, all one word without any spaces. So, like I said, and also feel free, or make sure you follow the Pokepod Masters handle on Twitter, as well as joining the Pokepod server, or the Pokemon Academy server, I should say. Yeah, there's, you know, stay tuned for a lot of fun events coming up. I know in a few weeks, Emmy, Nessa, Cosmic, and I, the lovely ladies of the Pokepod Masters, are going to be playing Animal Crossing and then New Horizons, and at the same time the tripod is actually coming back. So Terrell, Tyrone, and KG will I don't know what they're going to essentially be doing on the tripod, but that will be happening at the same time. So no hard feelings, whichever one you choose, unless you'd like to, maybe we can multi-stream. We'll figure that out as well, whatever suits your fancy. But be sure to support at least one of the groups, and, you know, be sure to support the Pokepod as a whole, as they are wonderful, lovely people. Some of my best friends, and, you know, and obviously the Starlight Children's Foundation as well. With that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and end the stream. Not sure what I might want to do for Whirl Talk episode 2. You know, I want to use this to maybe talk a little bit about my life, or at least about topics similar to this. Maybe, perhaps, you know, TV shows or anime series that I like or might want to watch in the future, etc. So yeah, feel free to DM me or to drop in the chat any suggestions or recommendations you might have, as well as any suggestions or recommendations for games that, you know, maybe I scrolled through, or I mentioned that I was kind of interested in playing, or that you might think that I might be interested or really like to play. So feel free, I will take any and all recommendations. But like I said, thank you guys so much for showing up and for supporting me. Really, really much appreciated. With that being said, I will go ahead and end this stream. And I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your Sunday. Oh gosh, I was thought it was Saturday. Sunday evening. And yeah, I'll see you all next time. Thank you and have a good night. Bye.